What is up, y'all? We're here for our weekly romance oracle and tarot reading. I hope everybody is doing okay. Today, depending on when you see this, we're on day 2 of all of the wildfires out taking over so many surrounding neighborhoods in LA and just taking them out completely. And so, yeah, I've just been watching all of it and checking in with friends, and it's just been it's just been like heart-wrenching and to watch and just to imagine like the terror of something like that. I mean, we have tornadoes in Tennessee, but to me, that does not feel anything near as terrifying as the threat of fire. So I've just been praying for everyone out there, and it's just awful. I did talk about in my short video today 3 things that can help with providing spiritual protection in times of distress and danger and uncertainty, or anytime. One was to speak out loud the glory of the Creator and to proclaim the goodness of the Creator. Because in doing that, it's like this powerful force that enhances and adds to that light around you, that your soul is providing you protection at any given time. And so when you talk about the glory of the Creator, like this extra light is shrouding you at that point, and it adds protection to you. It's like the power of the Holy Spirit around you and keeping you safe. And that's something that King David did and talked about. So just declaring that God is good and that God is in control and can take care of you and is guiding you and leading you. And that God will keep you calm and God will keep you able and God will, open the way. And so just to keep declaring that out loud. Another spiritual tool that you can use to provide protection for yourself is to walk in groups of 3 or to gather in groups of 3, especially if that group is unified and of faith. If those people have faith and they believe in the Creator and they are also in unity and not in conflict with one another, that is very, very powerful, very protective. And evil and dark entities will not set upon a trio like that. And then the other was acts of sharing and giving and sacrificing the self for the sake of others. So, setting aside maybe, your own fleshly instincts and to just extend yourself in an act of sharing. Any time we can suppress our human lower nature to watch out for ourselves and to receive for the self alone or grasping for instant gratification, we lose sparks of light. We lose power when we do that. But when we when we fall into the temptation to those things, we lose power. But when we overcome that and transcend that tendency, then that actually recaptures those sparks from the dark side and reveals them again. It reawakens those sparks of light. So that also adds to that layer or level of the soul that surrounds you in protection. And then what was the Torah portion today? I think it was staying in groups of 3. Oh, I can't remember. I talked about it in my short, actually. So the best way to get that message is to go watch today's short with this outfit and my beret. And if I didn't get that far in the 3 minutes that YouTube is now allowing me 3-minute shorts instead of 1-minute shorts, little steps of progress. Yeah, so if you want, you can see it there, or the full video should have been on TikTok, but it's hidden for some reason. I don't know. So I let them know at headquarters, and I'm demanding a response. And in the meantime, like, another video posted and is fine. So I don't know. Sometimes things are weird. Otherwise, I think my Instagram version now is actually shorter than the YouTube. So, all right, let's get into the reading. Also, the 2025 prediction series is up. And thank you, Misty, for buying one. I pulled a card for you in yesterday's video. And yeah, it's really fire, you guys. It's an annual overview that's going to give you like channeled messages for me about the yearly themes. And then we do a full Celtic cross spread. Then that comes with journaling questions to like kind of get your mindset and your intention, your consciousness in alignment for the year. And there's not like tons of questions, but they're distilled. So, because I know like sometimes I can get overwhelmed if there's like too many questions of the journaling. I like journaling, but I go into it, so it takes forever. So I'm like, oh. So I edit it down to the most distilled, useful questions. Quarterly readings for the seasons, and then I have monthly readings, and all the videos have a few questions that will really help you workshop like through the week and through your life. All right, let's begin. So the first card that came out was True Love. This is the romance of a lifetime. I can't remember exactly what last week's cards were, but it did seem to imply or indicate that legitimate love was possible for us now. And we are in the new timeline, and we are going into our new story. Life, Us season 2 is what I'm thinking of it, because like if Netflix was a series called Life and we were the main character, like the Truman Show, I feel like this is season 2 of the reboot, because in season 1 you kind of get like the idea of like the introduction to like a new character, and then like in season 2 it's like you're meeting everyone in season 1 for the first time, and you're getting a lay of the land and like what their life is like and their community and like their comings and goings. But then in season 2 is usually when there's like a big plot twist at the end of season 1, and then season 2 really gets them on the hero's journey and into the meat of it. And so last year I felt like was sort of like season 1 of Us, the Netflix series. And now we're in season 2 now, starting at like 2025. So I feel it. I feel that like we're in that introductory part of when you watch the first episode in the first season, or the first episode of the new season, and it's like you're kind of getting your bearings again, and nothing major is happening, but you're just feeling like, okay, a little bit of time has passed to like where the characters now. And so we're really letting things integrate, but I think new things are coming soon. So we might start feeling excited and antsy because we have this like sense, like you can kind of feel it in the air, but it's not quite visible. It's not quite apparent yet. It's not quite clear or obvious. So true love is coming probably this year. Who knows? But be aware and be, preparing yourself and your life for someone new to come in and to be able to have a good shot at like making like a good go of it, so learning relationship skills, learning how to fulfill your own needs whilst also being able to communicate, your needs to that other person without putting all of the responsibility on them. It's like you have to learn relationship skills, you have to learn communication skills, you have to learn how to love yourself and be interdependent with someone. So, and then like just your general environment, like is your shit together? Are your ducks in a row? It's so funny because today I was like really like distracted, and I still am, with the LA fires, and also it's supposed to snow here tomorrow. It's Nashville, so we're not really a city that's equipped for snow, although we do get like 1 or 2 snows a year. And every time you would think it's like the zombie apocalypse breaking out, there were like the shelves were bare. I had to go to like so many places, and the lines are so long. It was so crazy. And this is like my usual grocery night, so I was just like business as usual. And it was like I mean, it's going to be one day of snow. The worst case scenario is that it gets like we get snowed in for a couple of days. Like whatever Metro ends up like stepping in and like taking care of what needs to be taken care of. So it's just like, oh my God. So it's like pandemonium, and fuck, I can't remember why I went into the story. Whatever. But true love. Prepared. Like we were prepared. Oh, yeah. So the ducks in a row. So I keep seeing, the universe keeps showing me ducks in a row. And I was out like in the middle of the crazy pre-snow apocalypse, going about my business. And it's just like everywhere I was going and every errand I was trying to do was just being blocked. And then I've been seeing these cars, usually Jeeps, with like rubber duckies like lining up their whole windshield. And I'm like, why are you showing me this, universe? And I was like, oh, you're like highlighting like getting our ducks. It's time to get their ducks in a row, like encouraging getting our ducks in a row, acknowledging that our ducks are in a row. And so today, even though I was pretty calm amidst the chaos, I was still getting pretty salty and frustrated. And I was like, I need to manage my energy. I need to manage my vibe, because it's just going to start snowballing into more blocks and challenges. And it did. And this Jeep comes around the corner, and I'm like, what is that? I was like, it's like 2 ducks in a row. It's like the universe is like, you've got about 2 ducks in a row right now before chaos. Get it together. So looking and doing an inventory of your life, get prepared for your love life to start getting more active. Let's just put it that way. All right, let's get another card. Ooh, forgiving and learning. So again, like integrating all of the downloads and the revelations we've been getting recently, just like looking back on our life and our experiences and the lessons that we've learned. And it's like the more that we're taking it in, it's like the more it's integrating and the more it's like starting to make sense. And so it's like we're upgrading our operating system, but we're organic. So it's like we've been behind and we have several updates to do. We have to keep rebooting and rebooting. And so that's what's kind of happening right now, is that we're looking back on all of these things, even from now. Like we've grown so far so fast that it's like, oh my gosh, we're already coming back to like a reflection period. We're recapping already. And so we're just going back over that material again now from this higher perspective, now that we sort of like are starting to shift the way that we're seeing things and we're feeling about things. We can start revisiting those themes from the new self, the new consciousness, and see even like more depth there and facets and different sides, and forgive even deeper and have even more deep compassion and understanding. And it will take practice, just like anything. It's like, when sometimes you're like, all right, I've had this insight about this person and I've cried tears. I'm like, oh my gosh, I see it all so clearly now. I'm really going to be nice, and I'm really going to appreciate that the next time you have an interaction with them, you can already feel yourself wanting to be salty and like short and annoyed. You're like, I was going to be better this time. So yeah, it's just, it's a work in progress. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moment. So if you want, a new sensation, it's like you've got to just let go of the past, cut all the cords, stop ruminating on the same, stories, whether it be about your parents or something from your childhood or your youth, or, old relationships that didn't work out. It's like not every relationship is going to last forever. Sometimes they run their course and you kind of graduate from what they served for you, and you take away what they were meant to do, and it's not a failure, And so just understanding from a mystical perspective and a cosmic perspective, it's like they were assigned to play that role and you were assigned to play your role. It's like, I like to look at it this way. If you've ever seen the show Curb Your Enthusiasm, the show is not exactly scripted. It's more like the characters have like an outline of like what's going to happen, but it's mostly improv. And that's what life is like. It's like we have this outline of certain key plot points that have to occur so that somewhat of a storyline plays out. But within those predestined, fated plot points, we are the ones who show up, decide how we show up to the scene and how we meet the scene and interact with the scene and interact with the other characters in the scenario. So we get to decide our reactions and how we perceive the situation and how we manifest in the situation. But there's a lot about life that we can't control. So, we do what we can, but it helps us realize that while we do make our own choices, like, some things were always meant to happen, and we do have control about how we navigate those situations. And it's like, even if things are meant to happen, we still have to work off the karmic debt ensued by our choices that we make and how we show up to those scenarios. So it's too oversimplified to say like, oh, well, this was a destined, fated situation and this was always meant to happen. It's like you kind of still have to like work that off. It's like you've put energy on a credit card and it comes with interest. So helps you let go and forgive, and you learn and you do better the next time around. And by unburdening yourself of that bitterness, you lighten yourself and open yourself up for good things to come in. Religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and your spiritual path. So I've had this experience in positive ways and in negative ways, because I am like an unusual mixture. I'm a mystic. I'm a believer. I'm not, I guess, in the same clear-cut, easy to identify category as many people. Like, I'm not just able to be like, yes, I'm Catholic. I am a Judeo-Christian. I have Jewish DNA on my mom's side. I think that both the Old Testament and the New Testament are the complete thing together. I love studying about the Torah and the oral Torah and the Hebrew Kabbalah. And so I would consider myself a Jewish Christian who's a Judeo-Christian mystic Kabbalist. And through that, I have like this insight and intuition, and I use that, use those gifts to try to help people along the soul journey, along the becoming of the building of the vessel. So I feel like I sort of like get orders from headquarters almost. Like, look at my outfit. I look like a little spy or something, like 1940s. But it is kind of like that. It's like we're all down here on a mission, on a spiritual mission. And, some of us are channeling in maybe guidance, and insight about, what's happening and why or where or what, at any given time. So sometimes that makes me like a goddess to someone, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love this. This is so me. And then other times it has created a dark night of the soul in others. They can't handle it. They can't deal with it. It's not palatable for people of small towns where they come from or their family or whatever. And so it's just like they can't deal with it. So I've had all ends of the spectrum. And I historically have gone out with people of all different beliefs, and I've had different experiences with everyone. In fact, I've had the worst experiences with guys who have been Christians, ironically enough. And I have gone out with atheists and agnostics and Buddhists and people of different faiths. But ultimately what I've found that creates incompatibility there is when it comes time to, it's like about how you direct your life choices and how you navigate through challenging times. And when you're a person of faith, especially if you have intuitive gifts, you're not always logical but you're led by like this knowing that has proven itself time and time again to you. Or you might step out in faith being guided, and you might navigate life with a deeper sense of meaning and purpose, or fervor or peace inside because of that faith. Now, if you're with someone who's incredibly materially based and they have no faith that extends beyond nice thoughts and wishes and hopes, then they don't have a spiritual basis to lean on in those challenging times, and they won't be able to extend and suppress their, like, they won't be able to suspend their disbelief, and they won't be able to transcend their logic when an action needs to happen that doesn't quite make sense. And so based on that, it's like you're making your decisions in an entirely different way, and from entirely different motives than they are. And if your means or your end doesn't parallel, then that's the thing that's gonna create friction. It's because they're gonna always undermine your intuition or your spiritual guidance and your faith because it's not logical, it's not reasonable. I guess there is the scenario of, I've never really dated someone who had a completely different like God and prophet that they, like, for instance, I've never dated someone who's say Muslim, but I don't know how we would handle it when it came time to have kids, because then it's like, which one do you go with? Do you go with like a fusion, or if, depending on, sometimes if that's not something they're willing to do, then that's okay too, because part of the message of the oil of Hanukkah was that the Greek Hellenistic period was not actually trying to completely oppress and obliterate Judaism, but it was trying to just dilute it enough to where even if somebody really wanted to celebrate and honor their faith purely, they couldn't, because it had already been diluted and messed with and defiled, right? And so the thing about oil as an object is that when it's put with other liquids, it separates itself and it remains pure. So religious factors are a big thing to consider when you're considering someone for a long-term partnership. And many times love is there, but are they truly compatible? And can you will you have that deep connection? Will you be able to navigate life's choices together? Do you have real compatibility? So it's something to consider. And it's also something to consider if somebody can't be with you based on your beliefs, because it's not really personal. It's not about you. It's just like something that's a non-negotiable. And I mean, that's really understandable, because I would like to have someone who like shares my beliefs so that we could like have that kind of thing together, that would be nice. So your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. So take that into consideration in this new chapter, in this new timeline, especially like if you're somebody like me and has never had that with your partner before. It's like definitely this time around in this new cycle, it's like I would love to have someone who I had all of the things aligned with, like that. Playfulness, just go out there and have fun. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit to fun to shine. So yeah, once you know your core needs, your non-negotiables, your deep values, the things that you need to be compatible, then it's easier to just have more fun, because you're not overthinking everything and you're not getting totally caught up in like the drunkenness of it all either. It's like you can keep kind of a level head and then just like have a good time and not get like over, analytical and, suffocate the fun and the romance out of everything. So overbearing. So just lighten up, have a good time, be ready to have fun, be playful and receptive and open. Like if you like somebody and they're like trying to interact with you, like interact. Like, have a good time. You can show people that you like them. What if that was like a thing again? You know, it can be like tempered, but like, don't be super cold and standoffish. Okay. Which I can imagine how I could be that way, like at the grocery store sometimes, because I have resting bitch face and I'm like totally like in like go mode, and I'm not like meandering, like, you know, open to the world. But okay, so our first card out is, we have observe, but it came out with the devil card. So again, love me, say that you love me. Before you get all, you know, in la la land, I guess, remember your old patterns before they sneak up on you again. Don't put anything on a pedestal. Don't let yourself be reactive or controlled by things or suffer illusions, right? Don't let things be, don't fall into love addiction again and get caught up. Don't go fast. Don't try to like make everything, you know, materialized or whatever. Just take your time, because this is the observe card here is the Hanged Man. So the Hanged Man is about taking a time out and getting like a fresh perspective and looking at things differently. This can be about overcoming like indecisiveness and indecision, but it's really about getting another perspective and letting things come together behind the scenes. The Hanged Man is like, there's a pause in activity, but also there's more going on behind the scenes, and the parts are moving even if it's not visible yet. So don't get like, things aren't as they appear, right? There's something about this devil card showing up that's telling me it's like, okay, don't fall prey to your old tendencies, or don't let like the devil come into a situation, and it will, like, the opponent will come into any kind of new situation and try to wreak havoc, whether he does it by trying to speed things up or prevent or block or cause fear, you know, and insecurity to cause reactiveness. So the ego is always going to be playing at you. So take your time and observe that. And observe the whole situation, right? Because this is that true love card. So this is the romance of a lifetime. Now, the romance of a lifetime does not necessarily mean like it comes with intention, you know? Like, sometimes things are romantic. They can be very romantic, but they can also be toxic or not in alignment with what you really want. And so think about what your core values and needs are, what you're really looking for. Stand by that, stay true to that, because a lot of times when like the person is near, many little like not the ones show up first. It's like you become this bright light, and like all of the moths and all of the insects are like attracted to the light bulb, and you have to kind of be the discerning one that's like swatting the wrong ones away. And the only way you can really do that is by not getting caught up in the initial like flood of chemicals and hormones that come with like having a crush and like falling in love, you know, at first. Just let that phase come. But then take your time before taking it further. Like, see how things are going. Like, take it slow. Don't rush. Fools rush in. Even if it's like, so you can actually rush through the first part of the relationship and then kind of like burn out too fast, because you already settle into the latter parts of the relationship and skip over savoring the early parts. And it's also during the early parts where you really get to know one another, you learn to appreciate one another, and you have that distance. And you, as a feminine, you allow your masculine to earn you, and that creates more value in him towards you. Like, he values you more when you do that. I see so many, because like I'm a server, so I hear like a million conversations at tables, and it's like, it's crazy how many women don't understand that they're not being valued and pursued because it's just too easy. They're too obvious. They're coming on too strong. They're being in the masculine, like trying to make it happen and trying to be like, but it's like, it doesn't, So take your time, go slow. Also, they'll like rush in, and because the guy wants to rush in, and they're totally legitimate. Like, yeah, he's the one that like pushed us into rushing in, and we're spending all this time together, and that does happen. But what happens is like they're all caught up in the excitement. They really mean it in the moment. So do you. But then like one person in the scenario hits a wall and they're like, oh my God, everything's happened so fast. I didn't mean for all this to happen. Whilst the other person is just thinking like, oh, this is going really well. So even though the person, and then they suddenly pull back and they get all distant and whatever and cold feet, and the other person panics. And so it's like that. The story is old as time. So instead of all of that happening, just slow and steady wins the race. Like, take it step by step, get to know who someone really is. Don't give them more than they've earned or deserve, or, don't do anything before it's time. And who knows, maybe it could work out. We're really going to do it well this time. Okay. All right. Forgiving and learning. Let's get a little more insight here. Dedicated effort. This is the continuing lifelong journey of learning to forgive the past and continued effort to draw pearls of wisdom and honestly like stronger love muscles because of it. Like, how to really appreciate a partner, how to be appreciated by a partner, how to navigate the ins and outs. So it's like all of this hasn't been for nothing. You've really been building, relationship skills, or you've been provided the playing ground to do so. Have you shown up for class is up to you. I've got like super chapped lips because I scalded my lips on hot tea last week and they totally got so burned. My candle's flickering over there. It's nice. So continue to make an effort. It's, it's a journey. It's not, there's no destination that we're arriving at some finish line, and when you're getting to know a new person, it takes time to learn, them as well. So learning from the past, healing from that, letting go of the bitterness, because if you're holding on to unforgiveness, it puts bitterness around your heart and it prevents that from letting the love signals out. And so even if you met your soulmate, they wouldn't recognize you because the bitterness and the anger and the displeasure doesn't resonate with the love and the light that you are. So they won't be able to see you properly. So they won't be picking up on the right signal. It's so helpful to think of ourselves as vibrational radio stations. And we are a specific radio station, and we want to project a strong, clear signal so that, the person who matches our signal, the frequency, can connect with that frequency. So letting go of the past, it's a concentrated effort. But the Eight of Pentacles is the apprenticeship card. It's about putting in work over a long period of time. It's like sustainable mastery over the course of weeks, months, years, right? This is like one of those Renaissance artists painting one of those huge works of art, this masterpiece on scaffolding. So it could take years, in the making. So be patient with yourself and just know that even the perfect relationship is always going to take a dedicated effort. Though even the worst relationships that barely hang on but keep going, it takes a dedicated effort. Like even if you meet the perfect soulmate who just is the perfect match for you and you're wild about them, eventually it's still going to take a dedicated effort because you've got to keep that alive. You got to keep that chemistry going and that symmetry going. So it's no matter what you're getting yourself into, it's going to take an effort. So that helps you make the right choices, it's like, okay, well then I'm gonna definitely not set myself up for something that's gonna be difficult on top of that, and I'm gonna be really clear about what it is that I want. That's gonna be, it's gonna be help my soul thrive. Ooh, the Tower card, rebuild. So this is about letting go of any false pretenses, any false senses of security. This, like, having the Tower card is like things, lightning strike moments of revelation that completely shatter your illusion, and they're disillusioning. So religious factors might be coming into play because somebody might have been thinking, oh, I thought I believed everything so clearly, and maybe you challenged what they thought was such a neat little package that, and I mean, like, maybe it expanded what they understood, maybe you shattered the illusion that they had been under, and you're like, oh, and now you've prompted the dark night of their soul, and they're like, they don't know how to handle it. But maybe your beliefs are also so powerful that you might be able to, in a positive way, break through someone's false ideas about the way that they have left behind their beliefs, right? So many of the people from my generation were traumatized by the church, and they grew up in these really like strict, stern, or narrow hearted and like very small consciousness kinds of churches and congregations, and some of them kind of culty in ways. And they were traumatized by that, and maybe even like ostracized or rejected because of that from that community. Because of their beliefs, or because they were different, or whatever, they didn't quite fit in, or they didn't share quite the same beliefs. And so a lot of those churches were very misguided because they were just these preachers who went to these theology colleges, and who knows if it was like a good renown, what kind of education do they get? They're already narrow-minded. Like, it's just they had this really terrible experience with this dude who was a preacher who started this church, and then a lot of people did that. And it's, churches are almost like, people look at being a pastor or something like that. Like, a lot of people go at it because it's a career, but some people go at it because it's a calling and they're anointed, and there's a difference. And so, some people have had very traumatizing experiences with people who shouldn't have been leaders in the church, and the church has been hijacked, and the church has become a culture. And it's really strayed from, I think, the original truth and gift and hope and message. And that's one reason why I love The Chosen so much, because it really kind of puts more context around it and gives you a whole different experience with not only Jesus, but with the disciples, and with the context of the scripture and the dialogue and the words that are used. So I think it's a really good show that's very warm and hopeful and accepting, and I think it's created a lot of hope and renewal amongst the presence of Christ within society and within people on individual basis. I don't know if it has changed church culture at all, but I think they're different. Having a personal relationship and like revisiting and reawakening your beliefs is separate from church. And so you can do that on your own. And so you might be able to bring someone's faith back. Who knows? Maybe you'll shatter the preconceived notions or the horrible, experience and memories they had, and the stain that they had, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Because I know so many people that are in my peer group get traumatized when they hear church like jargon and language. Like, people from church culture, they sound alike. They use the same terms. They use the same sort of like lingo and like candor or cadence, and it can be triggering to people who have been in that environment and had traumatizing experiences in it. Some people just can't deal with it, and it immediately shuts them off and shuts them down, and they're out. They can't hear it. And so it's hard to get past that and reconnect with their faith when they don't have like a way in or a mediator or a bridge. And so I feel like what I do here is a bridge, because I have faith and I have multifacets of the one faith. I've been ostracized and scorned, called a heretic for it. But my thing is that I went after the sheep that were not part of the flock. I went after the one that got away, that is the one that the shepherd will leave the flock to go for. And so some people may or may not get that, but it's people like us that can understand that, and we can be there for one another one-on-one instead of relying on the church, and be there as a salve for the wounds that the church had inflicted on people growing up. So religious factors are a factor, but I think if you are really open about yours and own them and don't make other people feel judged or rejected for theirs, make them feel welcome and safe and respected and honored, and you can share and build bridges. Okay, now playfulness. What's happening here? Well-deserved reward. Oh my goodness. Well, that's comforting. This is 9 of Pentacles. So this is like kind of enjoying the fruits of your efforts and labor. So maybe all of this work that you've been putting into yourself and your healing and learning about how to be a good partner and how to have a good relationship and how to, to spark attraction and maintain that and all those things. It's like you have made yourself quite a catch, just shining bright on a pedestal above the rest. Peasants. I'm just kidding. Everybody, no one's better than anyone. But you're shining bright inside, and you're standing on a pillar of core confidence because you know your core pillars of compatibility. You know your core values. Go look up Matthew Hussey pillars of compatibility and listen to him talk about that, because it gives you so much clarity, so much direction about how to analyze that criteria in someone. So good things are coming. This is about this is the 9 of Pentacles, so it is about an independent single person who's a successful business person who's built a relationship with the Holy Spirit, and they are kind of feeling like they're enjoying the fruits of their efforts and their labors and kind of enjoying the good life, but they're not married, they're not engaged, they're a single person. And so it's like they're still waiting for that last piece of the puzzle to come in. This is what traditional tarot artwork depicts and talks about. And so that is coming. So I feel like enjoy yourself in the moment right now. Be playful, have fun, keep your energy light, but the next piece of the puzzle will be coming in. And it's like the 4 of Cups came up with the 9 of Pentacles. So he's just so bored. He's so tired of being alone. He's like, when will I ever find the one? Is it in this moon cycle? Is this moon waxing or waning? I never can tell by looking at the direction of the crescent. But opportunity beckons. So don't get caught up in your solitude and despondency just quite yet. Try to buck up, because if you get into wallowing in self-pity and loneliness and depression, then it's exactly the wrong energy for calling in a soulmate. You will call in someone horrible. So don't do it. You have to be in like a playful state of fun and enjoying being single. Being like this is going to bring in, and playful is going to bring in like good, like high quality soulmate level matches. But if you're, and so don't get so distracted in that you don't realize when they show up. Like tonight when I was at the grocery store, I even told myself, I was like, this is no time to run into a good looking man, because I am a sour piece of shit right now. I am a bitter hag. I am annoyed. The crowd is everywhere. My nervous system is a wreck. But I was calm, but it was like, I was just annoyed more than anything that people were acting like it was like a freaking looting. And it's like, well, 1 day of snow. 1 day of snow. It is not. I hope that we get a nice fluffy snow. That would be nice. Okay, so opportunity beckons. So don't put a wet blanket on your vibration. Keep in this wonderful, beaming state of playfulness and love and joy. And you will continue to send out that strong, clear signal. All right. Opportunity beckons. Make sure to notice. I just keep thinking of myself all the time. It's like when there was a man trying to talk to me at Aldi. I was just trying to be nice, and I'm like, he looks like a nice looking man. He looks well put together. He's polite. I'm like, appreciate this man. I'm trying to. On the outside, on the surface, I was like, yes, you are nice. But on the inside, I was like, all of this overstimulating. Oh my God, I was not present. That's what it is. Present. I was not present. I was not grounded and present in my body. Even when I started this video, I wasn't feeling very present in my body. And I felt a little aloof, even for a channel. So I'm feeling much more present now. But be present, and that really takes you out of anxiety and distress, because you're not ruminating about the past or the future. You're just really grounded and sober in the now. All right, you all, everyone pray out loud with your mouth and all your heart for LA and the people there and all the people that need help. And usually when we are sad, it is something that it works in our disadvantage, because it kind of separates us from the Shina, the light of God that protects and provides, because it's so high vibrational. So it requires joy. But when tears do actually amplify the power of your prayers and the connection of your prayers to the upper realms, is when your heart is breaking and you're crying and shedding tears because you want safety and security and good things for someone else. You want, healing or protection, or you're praying on behalf of another. So, if you find yourself in tears and already crying, that is a great time to pray for LA. All right, y'all. Peace be with you. Ciao.